Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona, and I hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling start to Serenity Sunday. I'm exhausted. I'm just going to put it out there. We've had kind of had a lazy start this morning. Got up around 6:30, and no, hang on, it was just before 7. That's right, it was just before 7 o'clock. Normally I get up around 5. Got up, mucked around. Didn't even start my day with my quiet time like I normally do. Isn't that weird? Yeah, had breakfast. Zeffie got up, so we got ready to go out and got all of our Sunday travel stuff to go out. I got a bag that I keep some treats in for her. I keep wipes in there, doggy wipes. I also have a half-gallon, I think it's a half-gallon container that I put water in. And then I have her water bottle that we use in the dog park. Got my water bottle, and we headed out. After we did our walk, we then headed out and got the park, had a good run. She had a good run around in the park, and then these two huskies arrived. One was a big husky, and the other one was definitely smaller, so probably a male and a female. I didn't check. But Zeffie's just busy running around, and these two were ganging up on other dogs. And one of them came over, and the smaller one came over and started running with Zeffie, and then the big one comes over, and Zeffie thinks, oh, they want to play, so she slows down, so they get hold of her and and the two of them start ganging up on her, and I'm like, yeah, I ain't having this. And so I started calling Zeffie, and she managed to get away and come over, and these other two dogs followed her over, and I grabbed hold of Zeffie's harness, and I'm stepping back with holding on to Zeffie and just saying, back away, back away. And to these other dogs, like going back away, back away. And with Zeffie, and I had her between my legs, so she knew she was in her safe space. And these other two dogs finally gave up and went away. But I kept an eye on them. But their owner, I didn't even know who their owner was. Later found out as we were coming to leave, because she'd had they came after her again and started attacking her because she was yelping. So I got in there and pulled her out again and told these other dogs to back away. And they left her alone for a while. And then Zeffie goes and poops over the other side of the park. So I walk over there with her to clean everything up, and I hear this yelping, and I thought, I know that yelp. And I turn around, and these two dogs have got her again. So I just dropped everything and ran over to where she was, hauled her out of there, told these other dogs to back away, and walked Zeffie back over to where I was and said, just wait. She wasn't injured or anything, but it was that these other two dogs were just, and so I was watching these other two dogs. I was hanging on to Zeffie and just calming her down and everything. And they would go running around the park, and there'd be one dog running by themselves, and they would just look at each other, and then they would both come up on each side of that dog and make it like it was play. It was play for them, but it wasn't for the dog that they were going after. And so after I cleaned up Zeffie's poop and stuff, I walked back across the park because the trash can's on the other side. Of course, she does it in the furthest corner of the park, so I got to walk all the way across the park to this other side. And she normally follows me when I'm walking with poop bags and stuff, and so she kind of followed me, and then she just goes off and starts running around again, and she's fine. And these other two huskies are down the far end of the park again, ganging up on other dogs. Still no sign of the owners anywhere, no idea who they were. There's a lot of people standing around the fences just chit-chatting and all that sort of stuff. I always stand in the middle of the park, because I find that if I stand near a fence, Zeffie doesn't use the whole park. She will stay in a certain distance from me, but she won't get to enjoy the whole park. But if I stand in the middle of the park, she will enjoy the entire park and go around the entire park and explore and play with other dogs and stuff. And so then after I visited the trash can, I started walking back to the middle of the park, and these two dogs came at her again. I was watching. She was busy just running around, not annoying anybody, not doing anything. And she ran past these two dogs, and they just looked at each other and start following her. And I'm like, oh, crap. And then she gets over close to me, and these other two dogs closed in on her again. I just got in there and went, back away, and got hold of Zeffie's harness and pulled her back again. Still no sign of who these owners were. And everybody else just stands around and watches. I'm like, seriously? And so then I said to Zeffie, I said that, and we were out of water anyway, but by that point, and Zeffie it was just the way that she was holding herself. I thought, she doesn't like it here. It's right now. She wasn't wagging her tail. She wasn't getting any enjoyment out of it. And so I thought, we're just going to leave. And so I always carry my leash with me when I'm in the park. Everybody else hangs theirs on the fence. I always carry mine with me. It's given the size of the park, because it gives me control to be able to buckle her if I need to and drag her away or pick her up and all that sort of stuff. So I just clipped her harness on her and she just headed straight for the gate. She's like, and she didn't even argue. Didn't fight, didn't argue about it or anything or try and pull away. She just walked straight to the gate. She ignored every other dog along the way. And as I'm walking towards the gate, there is a black and white dog that the two huskies had down on its back, and one of the huskies had clamped onto its back leg. Fine. And I'm like, where the hell are these owners? And some people are walking over to separate the dogs, but it's the dog owners of the other dogs that was like coming in. And finally this guy just pushes himself off the fence and just nonchalantly walks over towards the huskies and doesn't say a word, just like gives them a hand signal and they go away. And I'm just sort of like, really? You've been standing there the whole time watching you and probably not even paying attention to what your dogs are doing. I was just like, we're out of here. By which stage we had, of course, missed breakfast, so we couldn't do any drive-through for breakfast. At least we wanted Jack in the Box, didn't really want that. So we just went for a drive. I needed to calm down, and I would have gotten on at the dog park, but I just wasn't in the mood. Was not in the mood to do that. And so we just went for a drive around and all of that sort of stuff. And I was like, I think I'll just go home and make some lunch or something like that, make breakfast at home and have that there. And I was like, I really don't feel like going home right now. So we just kept driving and we came across Whataburger and I was like, yeah, let's, and there was like nobody in the line. I'm like, we're in. So we grabbed Whataburger. I love their mushroom Swiss burger. It's so good. And so got that, sat in the parking lot and had that. And then Moses and Zeffy after I'd given her water to drink and a treat to eat. And I actually got the dog wipes out and wiped her all down as well because she had all this dog slobber all over it. Before we got out of the park, like out of the whole park, we went for a drive around just the little park area because there was a part of the park up there that we hadn't seen yet. So I went down to where all the baseball parks were and that sort of stuff. There was just concession stands and all that. And then we ended, before we even got out of the actual park itself, Zeffy was caught up in the back asleep. That's how exhausted. And we had only been at the park 20 minutes. We were at the park for 20 minutes and she was done. And before we even got down to the traffic lights at the entrance of the park, she was already curled up in the back of the car asleep. She did not move until I parked the car with my Whataburger and said, we're going to sit here and eat. Then she's sitting up like, what you got? What can I have? But she basically curled up before we even left the park and she was out to it and didn't emerge. And now she's up on her bed on the dash there, just out to it. And I'm like thinking, there's times I just feel like I wish I was small enough to crawl up there with her and just curl up in her bed with her. But I'll probably go curl up on our bed. But it's meant to, we've got the windows open. We've got the door open right now. So just enjoying all of this. But it was a pretty harsh day today. And I came and I sat down to do the live and got caught up on other things. Got sparkly syndrome. Yes, I still have sparkles in me. Doesn't matter how many times you shower after you have that sparkle stuff on, they still end up with sparkles glittering. But that's okay. That's just who I am. I sparkle. So I'm just going to take the rest of the afternoon. I have plans for this afternoon to break down all these boxes and things. And I may still do that. But right now, I just feel like curling up and going to sleep. That's probably what I'm going to do. And it means I have to close the main door, which is a bit of a bummer. But, security reasons. So we'll just have a very nice, quiet afternoon. I've got some laundry I could go do. And I'm sort of like, yeah, maybe. But knowing that the laundry room's open till 12 is good as well, till midnight. And I finished watching Reacher. The first season of Reacher last night. I watched the last 3 episodes back to back to back, and it was really good. It was awesome. We had a break about halfway through the second one because it was time to give Zeffy her treats, and we did some treats. She was so funny. So if you've looked at my Facebook page, there's a picture of the purple button sitting next to her squeaky toy, and I sit down to watch Reacher because it was well before 8 o'clock when she gets her treats. And she stands there and all of a sudden she's bouncing like on her back legs with her 2 front paws together and bouncing onto the squeaky toy. And like she goes bounce, bounce, and it goes, and then she sits there and stands there with this look of expectation on her face. And I look down and says, what do you want? And she looks down at the squeaky toy and whacks it with one paw. And I go, you want to play? We can play. And she like looks at me like, that's not what. I knew exactly what she wanted, but I think she's got it in her head. If I press, I get treats, and I'm like, no, that's toy, that's treats, and pointed to the two of them for her. But then I got down on the floor with her, and we did some training with the treat button, and then she got her treats, and she was happy after that. But the fact that she stood there with her two front paws together and just bounced on the squeaky toy thinking she was going to get treats was hilarious. And but she's got that. But I was praising her too because she had the right idea, just the wrong instrument, the wrong device. She had the right idea, just the wrong button. So it's all part of the training and everything. So we will get her used to doing that. So then of course she just lays down on the floor, and I move the button out a little bit, and then she just picks her paw up and goes. And one time she just rested it on there. She puts it on there. It says treat. It's still depressed. And then she just lifts the paw a little bit and puts it back down again. So she's working out with the button when she actually gets to use the button, what the results are and everything. But yeah, that was kind of funny how she was bouncing on that squeaky toy. The problem with her is that she does things so randomly and just out of the blue does these things. So it's really hard to capture her on video with them. And yeah, really, really hard to capture her on video doing them. Because everybody's, oh, I'd love to see her doing it on video. Yeah, it's like I was telling Eileen yesterday when we were at lunch, is that I says, I have these little snack packs that have cheese on one side and craisins and nuts on the other side. It could either be like almonds or cashews. There's these little snack packs you can get. And I said, they're great. I said, the problem is that Zeffie could be in the bedroom completely out to it. I open one of those things and she's sitting right next to me wanting the cheese. Not interested in the nuts, the craisins, just wants the cheese. And so I set up my phone so I could videotape that spot. And I said, without saying a word, I turned the video on, and then I held up the snack thing and held up a finger to say, wait. I didn't say anything. I ripped the thing open and waited. Nothing. The dog did not appear. And I'm like, thanks. So I stopped the videotape. 5 seconds later, she comes out and jumps up on the bench. Every single time I have done that with her, with having the video ready to capture her from when you open it to when she jumps up next to you, she doesn't come out. But if I sit here, if I'm sitting here right now, and if I open one of those, she would be here like a shot. And so I said, she knows when I have that blasted camera on, and she won't do it. So I said, it's every single time I have sat there with the camera on and opened up one of those snack packs, she's never appeared. She waits until I stop the recording. Then she comes out and jumps up next to me. I said, if I don't have the camera on, she's there within 5 seconds. She's like, really? I said, yeah. And she's got this built-in thing of, she's videoing this. We're not going to go out there. So anyway, but today's all about rest and relaxation and rejuvenation. I'm looking a little flushed. It's a reflection off my shirt. I'm definitely going to go and have a nap. I need a nap right now. Actually, I need some water. I'm feeling a little dehydrated, so I'm going to go get some water first. And but I'm just absolutely exhausted today. And I guess it's all the outside at the dog park was the sun was out, which is fine. I have no problem with that being. It was nice and cool. It was high 50s, low 60s, but it was the wind. I didn't realize the wind was so bad up there because I was toying up, do I just leave my sweatshirt on or do I put my hoodie on? And afterwards I said, maybe I should have put my hoodie on. But then I'm glad I didn't have my hoodie on because it made it easier for me to keep turning my head to see what was happening with Zeffie, to follow her around the park. If I'd had my hoodie on, I've got to turn the whole body more to see. I can't just turn the head to see what she's doing. But yes, I was glad I had the sweatshirt on. It wasn't cold as that. It was more getting the headache across here, which I get in windy conditions. So I'm going to have to be careful and watch my ears because we're out in the wind. I'm going to be careful with that. But yeah, so we it was a tiring day outside today. So might go take a little nap. And what you doing, Zeph? Zeph. Out to it. No reaction. She's up there on the dashboard. Zeffie. Oh, hello. She just puts her head over the edge of the bed to look at you. Hey, sweetie girl. What you doing? No, gone back to sleep already. Mum doesn't have food. No interest. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to go take a nap, and then once we get up after that, I'm going to get rid of some of these boxes because it's just too cluttered in here with boxes. I like to wait till I've got a good pile to take, and it just seems a waste of energy at times just walking over there with one box or two boxes or whatever. So we stack everything up, and I got some magazines to get rid of too, and there's two piles for those to go straight into the recycle and those to go up to the library. And we'll see how that goes as far as getting that done. But yeah, nap time. So go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling Serenity Sunday. Find time to kick back, relax, enjoy the day. Our drive was just a random drive around. We didn't really go anywhere, didn't have anything in mind. Yeah, we'll just be back with you guys later this afternoon. So go out and have a nice, relaxing day. But if you get a chance to, if you've got Prime, it's an Amazon original, the Reacher series. Man, I hope they might bring out the second season soon. But season 1 is all on the book, it's book 1 of the Jack Reacher. Oh, that was what hit me this morning. So think about this. You've got Lee Childs has Jack Reacher. Tom Clancy has Jack Ryan. And L.T. Ryan has Jack Noble. What is it with the first name Jack in these action hero story, in these action books? All Jacks. Jack Ryan, Jack Reacher, Jack Noble. I'm pretty sure there's more of them out there, but I just thought, three of the biggest writers out there have these series of these guys who are all ex-military. Follow the theme here, and they're all named Jack. And they're all about solving problems in the world wherever they are. All in different, some of it is worldwide reaching, some of it's just local, whatever it is, they're all in there getting stuck in and helping out, being the hero, and they're all named Jack. Figure that out. So what is it with the name Jack? That suddenly hit me this morning. But anyway, I will leave you with that thought, and we'll catch you guys back here later on this evening. Hey, konara.